Actually, I've found you can actually get away with some bad fanfic.
If my chat got some sort of influx of people going like, yeah, fucking draw that toucan Sam butt crack. It would just be some fancy lad in a suit with like a mask on that you can't see, with a chain leading to his gimped up, sexy big boba'd slave in a hot tub.
Welcome back to Off the Air, the one and only podcast where we talk about White Yoda consistently.
No,
I feel like
that doesn't work.
I feel like before stop.
That doesn't work. Before we 5 minutes going. No, don't worry, we're not going to talk about White Yoda on the podcast. We don't do that anymore.
I couldn't help it. I'm looking at face-tuned White Yoda and I hate it. Okay, so before we introduce our guest, I feel like
you should apologize.
Topical, considering our guest is named B, that we bring up why Jackson's not here today, which is because the wall of his bedroom is full of wasps, and he can't be in the room.
Whoa! Hey, wasps and bees.
That's
different.
True.
Bees,
not the same thing.
These are bros.
Very, very different.
Wasps, assholes.
Exactly. Very true. But
that's terrifying.
Yeah, I'll I don't know, maybe I'll if I get around to it, I'll link the sound from the video Jackson sent us.
It's
which
horrifying.
Is just,
it's so horrifying.
It's a very loud bee noise
that's coming from his walls
that you can hear through his wall.
Yeah, it is very
it's not
cursed.
Cool.
It's extremely excruciatingly cursed.
So yeah. But yeah, today we have B joining us. B, famed furry porn artist. You want to say anything to introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, I'm B, also known as Beekakke, which, you know what, just let that, whatever image comes to your mind, just let it flow.
I will say, I had 2 people separately reach out to me when you joined the server and was like, whoever that is, great fucking username.
I'm not even sure where that started. You know, once you make like a gamer tag or a handle for something, you try to like replicate it across everything. It's like a brand. Well, that's my brand now, and I can't stop it. It's a train with no brakes. I'm just an artist. I just draw. I'm a nerd. That's basically me in a nutshell.
There we go.
That's a good shell nut.
Why would you say that?
Because I enjoy inflicting pain on those around me, namely you.
I have noticed.
And if B gets caught in the crossfire, so be it.
That's all right.
I can't believe you.
Bullets only do bashing damage to me, so.
True. Usually, unfortunately, Noah has a feat that means that anything I say makes him take psychic damage.
Well.
Yeah. I didn't even get a good benefit out of that one. It was pretty much like all loss, no gain.
It's one of those story feats that you pick up so that you can like get more bonuses later on, kind of thing.
But then it never happens.
Yeah, exactly. The GM's like, oh yeah, no, definitely, we'll make something out of this later, and then it just like the campaign ends, and you're like, wow, cool, great, thanks.
I traded taking psychic damage from everything Dan says to editing the podcast, so I can technically, if I wanted to, make Dan say anything I want.
Over time, just collecting literally every word, every sort of cadence.
That's gotta be, you can do that, right? Like, it's gotta be a thing you can do. It's just like slowly input people's, wasn't that, there was a TV show that did that.
I mean, without a doubt, this is episode 160. If I don't have enough raw audio of you speaking at this point, there's no way that I like don't have enough to make like an AI that talks like you.
I feel like there's gotta be like 1 or 2 small, like, vowel sounds or combinations that like I probably haven't said enough that you could get it consistently and make it sound good. But
you just say like furry porn artist, so
that's true.
Hi, I'm a furry porn artist can be used in his voice now if you ever need that. You know, I'm sure. That's honestly.
Except I said that, so that would be problematic.
No one would notice. You'd be fine. Just mix the audio a bit. It'll be fine.
Just remix it.
But also, I'm not okay. So technically, just to clarify that a little bit, I'm actually not a furry porn artist. I mean, I could be, but right now I'm not. I've put it on the table for like almost a year and haven't yet really. I mean, Breakfast Daddies aren't porn.
Breakfast Daddies aren't porn.
Just
no, that would be against Twitch TOS.
Yeah,
you wouldn't do that.
I would never.
Twitch Daddy is the next Breakfast Daddy, but not breakfast. Just I want major corporations. I want to know.
How would that work though?
I don't. Listen.
Who's the face of Twitch?
No, there are so many. There's so much fan art of people anthropomorphizing various brands. You 100,000% could make a Twitch daddy. That's not even like it's not even a question.
That sounds hellish though.
Well, sure, but so is the society that we live in. So like
it would just be some fancy lad in a suit with like a mask on that you can't see, with a chain leading to his gimped up sexy big boba'd slave in a hot tub.
See?
Getting lots of gift subs with names written all over their body.
Fucking professional. Exactly.
I have a very visual imagination.
I'm here for it.
See, but I gotta be honest, I still like Toucan Sam more.
Toucan Sam is
I mean, like...
So can we? So for those who don't know, let's explain the concept of the Breakfast Daddies, because I genuinely do want to talk about this because I think it's the funniest, most like beautiful thing that I've ever seen come out of any platform. So give us give us the rundown. What are for people who've never seen them, who have not been exposed to the glory hole?
I feel like I need to just explain the origin story.
Please, that was actually where I was going to lead into. I was going to ask what the origin was, like where that came out of.
So the origin started where I was hanging out in another Twitch art streamer's stream, and they had a kind of draw together type scenario or a doodle me this. And it was a combination of Alexander Skarsgård, I think that's the name, the sexy giant Viking man that was in True Blood or something.
Yeah.
So Skarsgård and Count Chocula. I'm guessing because of like the True, and so it started as a really sexy sort of buff Count Chocula, but previously on their draw together kind of Magma Studio thing where a bunch of people get together in an online browser room and just draw whatever with a prompt. There was sexy mascots, and one of them was like sexy Colonel Sanders. There was a sexy Wendy's, which has been done a lot, and then one of the people I think did like a sexy Captain Crunch, but it wasn't like
it wasn't good.
No, it was pretty good, but it wasn't like I had realized at the time. Like that was before the Skarsgård thing. So while he was drawing that, I was like, I want to do a sexy cereal mascot just for funsies. And I did a real quick sketch of the Lucky Charms guy, and I tried to keep the box art sort of present in the image, but I had completely replaced Lucky's face with just like a sexy dude or whatever. And then I was like, one Friday, I was like finishing my art on stream. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? Let's do a sexy breakfast daddy. And this was, I think, during the whole maybe hot tub thing when that started. I don't know. Whatever the thing on Twitch with the hot tubs, that actually influenced how I did a lot of art because of how people were able to get around a lot of perceived TOS things. So that's actually the first thing that I did. That Lucky.
Yes.
And when I started...
I feel like it's also one of the more tame ones, frankly.
Well, yeah, that's because it was before it actually started. Before I gave myself rules and before it became like a thing. So the first one was technically, actually, Tony the Tiger. And what I had wanted to do is I feel like I sucked really bad at drawing very masculine male designs. I had mainly drawn as a female, you know, I know my own body and I know, and I've just drawn a lot of females. I hadn't had a lot of reason to draw a lot of guys when you're into drawing like fairies and mermaids growing up. And then, you know, you want to draw your game characters. And unless you're playing a barbarian or something, which I haven't played, it's on my list. You're going to do a lot of armor and stuff that masks the body. And I wasn't very comfortable drawing like yoked out dudes, like just shredded. Just cheddar cheese shredded guys. And I was like, I have no idea how these muscles work. So I was like, I'm going to use this as an excuse to learn how to draw the male form.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I have to use my skills for evil, apparently, and render them in the most blurst way as possible, which is I will go back to this idea and create breakfast daddies, which are, because of the Twitch TOS and their workarounds for pools, hot tubs, beaches, and festivals, they are at Brekkie Fest, which is the festival of breakfast, where breakfast mascots each get their own themed room, and they are just sexy leather daddies. So they all kind of have a theme of standing in a doorway or at the entrance to their lair or room, whatever their breakfast themed room is. I say breakfast, not cereal, because technically the Quaker from Quaker Oats is going to be in there somewhere. But it's mainly cereal mascots.
I'm so excited.
I can't leave out Sexy Quaker. I can't leave him out. He's too great.
It's going to be great.
And so it started as I'm going to just do a quick one of these each Friday. It's going to be super loose and rough and fun and just work on brushwork. And I did Tony the Tiger at like the end of a stream, and it's pretty rough. I mean, technically it's great. But then the next week came around and I was like, all right, well, let's vote. Let's vote on what to do. And the rules are I have to keep the background image as close to the box colors as possible, like the original box. The mascots themselves can't have been anything other than cereal mascots. So all of the mascots that are based on a TV show, like the Flintstones stuff, the Disney princess, everybody who just gets a cereal based on something. I can't do any of those. Those are against the rules. It's gotta be cereal or nothing. And I can do whatever to the bodies. Obviously, they just have to be really beefy men because this is all a study in anatomy for me. But from the neck up, I have to try and keep it as close to the mascot as possible, which is very difficult, especially for the more human mascots, because there's something to be said about turning like a cartoon rabbit face and giving it a buff body. That's basically just furry art. But, you know, the most difficult one so far is the one I'm currently working on, which is the redo of Lucky Charms. But before that was even more difficult was Captain Crunch. To take a cartoon human face and then put that on a super hyper realistic body it's basically all of them turn into like sexy Squidward scenarios.
I was gonna say it's a little bit of a sexy Squidward, and like it's because of I have to imagine it's because of the cartoon aspect of it, like because they're cartoons and so the proportions are all off.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
And so it started where when I got to the second one, I was like, okay, the first one was just, haha, sexy Tony the Tiger. Let's just do this. And then I was like, should this be a thing? Should this be a thing? And of course my chat was like, yes, become a furry artist. And so I had them vote on which mascot to do next. And that's generally once I'm wrapping up towards the end of one of these drawings, I have chat vote. And it just keeps getting longer list of mascots that people vote on. So the second one was Tricks, and I was like, I just want to work on some beefy forearms. I have no idea how forearms work. What even are arms? And so that's why my Tricks has very beefy arms. And then I just kept rendering it, and I do very high quality detail. I wouldn't say photorealistic, but sometimes it pretty much gets there unintentionally. But I do very, very detailed renders. And so it happened with Tricks where I was like, well, this got kind of out of control. And it's just going to be this way now. I can't tell myself, don't over-render. That's just not me. I got that too much gene. So then the next one, of course, was Buzz B, who will always have a place in my heart because, as
he should.
And I was like, I'm not really good at drawing shiny latex. And also, I have no idea how to draw honey or tears or like a viscous, transparent sort of liquid, not that kind of liquid, but I just
well,
not
that kind of liquid, to be fair.
I mean, yeah, he is the little tagline that I've given him, or I think it was, who was it with? He's got the honey and the nut is something that I was told somebody said every time they looked over and saw it being worked on.
Oh no, that was me.
That was you, yeah. And that's like his tagline now.
This was my first experience with the Breakfast Daddies, and Nina would be sitting on the couch next to me watching on her phone while she drew on something else. And every now and then I go, honey nut Cheerios. She's like, would you stop saying that?
It made its way back to me. And I'm like, that's its tagline now.
It's so good.
Oh no.
And then we got Sugar Bear. And so as this goes, we've been doing more and more lore research on each mascot because they're actually very interesting. And also creating our own lore. And my channel mascot Sheila, who is a very dumpy Furby,
I did see. I did have questions about that. That explains
the
that.
sexy
All right.
Furby. That is actually has nothing to do with Brekkie Fest. She's just been looped into it. That's its whole own thing. But
is she the organizer behind Brekkie Fest?
no,
maybe?
She's the one that's sort of meandering from room to room as these are all kind of POV from her perspective as she goes to each room.
Yeah.
This is kind of what she sees. And it was determined that Sugar Bear was like the drug lord of the festival, dishing out whatever, I don't know, whatever these weird fantasy cereal marshmallow themed whatever would be tripping out on. It's
I believe that though.
like if you've ever seen any of the old Sugar Bear commercials, they're absolutely terrifying. He's like an unstoppable force of nature that will literally unerringly, almost with sort of divine omniscience, make his way to steal this golden crisp, and it's terrifying. And he has his own band. He plays music. It's like, I gotta get some of that golden. I can't remember what it is, but it's like this really amazing music. They have a whole album.
They have a whole album.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, that's so
and
good.
The next two, we were gonna do a monster cereal group image, but we sat around and we did lore research. And going way, way back, it was very obvious. I'm talking like Ricky Lucy, but also they jump in the same bed at some point. We did a lot of research on monster. I'm not even joking. We were watching these commercials on stream. I actually hopped into Just Chatting, the first and only time I think I will. It's Scary Place. You never know who's going to show up. And so these are the main two monster cereals, and the Boo Berry Ghost was kind of just like a third wheel, and then the other two were like, whatever. So these were my like the prime candidates for the daddies. So then we got the sexy Count Chocula and Frankenberry. And honestly, Frankenberry didn't really need anything. Or he's already just,
yeah. He's like 3/4 of the way there.
Like the image that I found, because I do a lot of like let's collect over time. I sort of do, since it's sort of I do a mishmash of whatever I can do to salvage it of the mascots over time, basically. And you just you just can't improve on perfection with the Frankenberry. But really Count Chocula has gone through so many changes because it's very strange. It's not a very good design, I think. Mm-hmm. So it was very difficult to try and make Count Chocula sexy because you have to deal with that hair and with the buck tooth and with the nose. And so the way I got around that was lots of makeup and facial piercings to just sort of hide everything. But that was my first attempt at a Breakfast Daddy that was a more humanoid in nature, and it was very difficult. I was not expecting it to be that difficult. So I was like, these are going to get worse the more humanoid type stuff I have to do, because you're dealing with that cartoon human face. But thankfully, my chat wanted me to go back in Furryland, so we got Scaly Daddy. I didn't have to deal with that for a while. The Canadian cereal mascot.
So what is this cereal? I've never seen this.
I've also never heard of that
before.
It is a Canadian cereal that ran for about 9 years in the 90s, and it wasn't successful because it was basically a mix of like Apple Jacks, and like one of the flavors was kind of like Apple Jacks. They were like Cheerios, basically. One of them was like Cheerios, Honey Nut Cheerios. One of them was crunchy, sort of apple cinnamon flavored. And it didn't work out too well, I'm guessing, because it was too similar to a lot of other stuff. But his name is Crunchosaurus Rex, and he's a dinosaur that steals the cereal. There's a lot of mascots that just go around trying to steal the cereal. I'm not sure why. That's just, I guess, the thing.
It's the tricks thing. The opposite happens for Lucky Charms.
The Cookie Crisp guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucky Charms is really just a commentary on other cereal mascots.
Yeah, either the mascots are trying to steal the cereal, or someone's trying to steal the cereal from the mascots. It's a very theft-centered.
It says a lot about society.
It's very anti-capitalist.
Yeah, it's like hey kids, do you like the cereal? Look how much people like the cereal. They like it so much, they're trying to steal it. Just go out and you see this, just steal it off the shelves, throw it in your mom's cart. She'll never know.
Private property is theft. That's why you have to get all the cereal.
So after Crunchosaurus Rex, I was on Daddy number 8, and I was like, these just keep going. I didn't think it would be a thing, but then it kept being a thing. And I'm like, is this going to be my legacy? And now I don't really mind if it's my legacy. It started as a joke, I'm going to do a sexy Tony the Tiger as a callback to my sexy Lucky. But then I was like, I've never drawn a super ripped back. And the chat had voted for Toucan Sam. And I'm like, he's flapping, he's flapping. He's the only one that's got a sideways facing eyes, because one of the reasons you can tell a difference between a predator and a prey is generally if they've got forward facing eyes or not. And now if you think about all the mascots like Trix the Rabbit or a bug or something that has forward facing Disney eyes, they're all predators. They hunt and eat meat. Just think about that. So Toucan Sam actually has regular bird face with like an eye on either side, but then like his weird DuckTales themed nephews that he flies around with and goes on adventures with in the commercials are front facing eyes. It's a very interesting. I don't know what happened there. Who did his like sibling bang to get the weird humanoid nephews while he's still an actual bird? Don't think about it too hard. The lore research makes these way more interesting. So I use Toucan Sam as a ripped back exercise. And because he had the sideways facing eyes, I was like, oh, that's excellent. I can just do the back of a daddy. And then when his head's turned, it's like I won't have to worry about trying to draw that bird face in 3D.
You can just do the TV side of it. Yeah. I see you.
And then I was working and I was like doing the beak, and then some asshole came in there and was like, hey, make a tongue. And I was like, well, now I can't not. I don't know.
Well, now look at you. Now look what you've done.
Stop being mean to me.
No, it'd be like, how could my actions have had consequences?
But see, that just means that like you had input. You helped create the art, so
yeah. See, what you're really saying is that she's a very responsive streamer and engages with her audience.
I am. I like normally if I'm working on commissions on stream, people are like, oh, you could do this. I go, this is like if I ask a question, it's probably because the person who paid me money is in chat, and like, people will come in and hear me asking a question. They're like, oh, I like this version better, but I have to sort of just ignore them.
Cool, that's great. You were not the person
really
being asked.
Yeah, but I don't want to say like, oh, but I'm not talking to you every 5 minutes when someone new comes in or something. So I'm just like,
not talking to you. God.
See, I feel like you nail it with your overlays though, because your overlays always highlight who you're actually talking to.
I mean, like
it's
if
like
people
2-hour speed paint for blank, and
they look.
People might still try and like pop in and say, what if you showed them toes? But then you can move on. I'm sorry, I'm talking about toes. I just found Toucan Sam with toes.
Oh no.
It's pretty awful.
Yeah. Well, then I had oh Jesus. Oh, I've seen that one.
It is from Fur Affinity.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
But there's a surprising amount of Toucan Sam toe content if you just Google Toucan Sam.
Yeah, one of the things that I do,
1, 2, 3.
Definitely one of the things that I do before I start each of these Breakfast Daddies is I do Rule 34 search them to see, one, if I do a really high quality rendered sort of leather daddy version, I want to make sure that it's going to be different if someone has already made it and it already exists. Yeah. I want to make sure that what I'm doing doesn't already exist out there. And normally there's a lot of stuff, but there's not a lot of very high rendered, detailed, blurst art that I can do. And I feel like I'm bringing something to the table that doesn't exist in a lot of cursed art stuff, which is just, I'm going to devote the decades of art study I have to creating art that makes half the people that look at it very uncomfortable. And half of the other people, I guess I get awakened or something. I don't know. I feel
like that's how you know it's real art, though, right? Like art should be saying something. I don't know necessarily what it's saying, but I feel like all these are saying something.
Oh yeah, if I really like the series because it definitely evokes emotion in me when I'm making it, especially the latest one with redoing Lucky, how he's the tatted up Irish but like he's like doing the youth's lip bite, and it's just when I'm working on the faces, having them try to look into my soul and make me uncomfortable while I'm drawing it, I know that that's the vibe I want to have for like when someone's looking at it.
Yeah.
And it'll hit this sort of uncanny valley level of, oh yeah, this is doing something for me, but not like in a, oh yeah, baby kind of way. It's more of like I'm feeling very uncomfortable looking at this art and I'm feeling something. And as long as I can look at something and feel something about it, whether it be good, bad, disgust, horror.
It's one of those. I'm not into it, but like I'm also upset that I'm not like completely into it. Like it's one of those things.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to make something that I myself would maybe be into, so that way I can channel that
the thirst,
that feeling. Like if I can try to make something that maybe I would think is attractive, then maybe that will carry over. And half the time it's just like, oh God, I saw the thumbnail. What am I looking at? Or in the other half, it's like, oh, this is really doing it for me. This is the one that got me. And I've gotten that for like, it's very interesting when people are like, what's your favorite daddy? Because I know some people, Trix is number one. Some people like the Bee. Some people like Sugar Bear the best. Other people are like Captain Crunches is my man. And some people like, the Count Chocula couple the best.
I do wonder how much of that is like a body type thing too, right? Like,
oh yeah. That's why I'm trying to make. That's why like Lucky is a little more of a svelte sort of Twinkie daddy, and like with Count, I tried to channel those Chocula vibes. But we've got the bear is the bear, and then I'm trying to do a little something for everybody with this series because there technically is.
Yeah, it's horrifying, but it's impressive, frankly.
I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I feel like it'll be my legacy. And I said that Sheila was going through Brekkie Fest. This is the POV of Sheila. Sheila actually started as I was doing a stream overlay for a streamer buddy who commissioned me for a little animation, and they actually have a side hobby of collecting broken Furbies and repairing them. And they have just this massive collection of Furbies, which a lot of people find terrifying.
I was gonna say that is a little freaky.
If it's terrifying, that means that I latch onto it. I'm like, if something makes someone uncomfortable, I latch onto it, and I because I actually am not uncomfortable by a lot of things. And I don't know if that's like my privilege or I've just become numb to it or I don't know
broken
what. Or I'm just already so gone that it just doesn't matter anymore, like, but that's the thing is, so if I find something that makes a generalized like group very uncomfortable in a way that's not obviously going to get me canceled on the internet, I latch onto it. And there is a very polarizing opinion on Furbies, especially when you get into like the long Furby customization type thing.
Man,
so
I love long Furbies.
They're so cool and weird and different.
Do you watch Strange Eons on YouTube at all?
I do not, but if it involves Furbies, you gotta link me.
She's got 2 long Furbies. One of them has 4 arms.
Oh, yes. Okay, so Sheila started because I was doing the stream overlay for this streamer, and in a book on the floor of this messy room that she wanted, I was like, well, what do I draw? I don't know. I made a Furby on the top, but it was doing like a sexy splits, and I was sketching it in this little line drawing, and I was like, I have to stop what I'm doing, and we have to make this its own art right now. And I had to just literally stop what I was working. I had to stop working on the commission during the stream, open up a new file, and paste this little dumpy Furby doing the splits that I was working on, and that became a hyper rendered Furby with a dump truck. And that was also so polarizing that I had to not only constantly basically keep that visible somewhere, but I turned it into, when I don't want to be on camera during stream, that's my PNG tuber. I made a little art of her opening and closing her mouth. So when I talk, she talks.
It's amazing.
And it's like this, if Breakfast Daddies and Dumpy Furbies are going to be what I'm about, then you know what?
So
I'm here for it.
That's so good. I'm absolutely horrified, but I'm very impressed.
Yeah. So for my 1K celebration, since I hit 1,000 followers on Twitch, I instead of like for art Twitch, which is a very different it's a very different community than any other kind of Twitch. Like it's not gaming. There's like just chat. There's several different groups, but the art community is one. It's very awesome, and I feel like there's not as much toxicity as a lot of the other parts of Twitch. Although I imagine it could get there over time. But you just, I don't know. There's something about our Twitch that
just gets you.
I can't even describe it. Like if you haven't hung out in a lot of art streams and stuff, then it's hard to sort of describe that versus a really like a big gaming streamer or something. But my 1K follower celebration is instead of a draw this in your style, which is normally what people do, where they're like, I'm gonna just draw this thing and then y'all can all draw it. I'm like, design a Sheila squad member. So I don't want people to draw Sheila. I want them to design her friends. So I'm currently hosting a very strange draw this in your style that is technically just, I'm going to probably get several thick, dumpy Furbies. I made rules where it's like Furby on the top, it has to be 1998 Furby, no arms, but from the waist down, you got to get that dumpy. You got to get that cake. You got to get sexy humanoid legs.
It's so blurst. I won't lie to you.
It's just very blurst. And yeah, I've seen a few people working on their versions of sexy Furbies, and I can't get enough of it. I just think it's the most hilarious thing. But
it's extremely funny.
For Spooktober, whenever I stream, there's going to be a new thing of I'm just going to design like Furby themed monsters, like horrors,
oh my God.
like absolutely terrifying creatures.
That.
And that's going to happen in October on my streams where we're going to get weird. So that's the story behind Sheila and the Breakfast Daddies. Any questions, comments?
Many comments, but and also actually frankly many questions, but I don't know that any that will actually have answers. One of those sorts of things.
I just really love how before we started, you're like, yeah, I don't really know what to talk about here. And then you just gave us the whole rundown of where the daddies came from, and this is all knowledge I needed to have because I missed a lot of the lore here.
You didn't get that backstory,
so I'm thrilled to be caught up.
Oh yeah. That's actually the thing I was talking about. If you look very closely at the floor, you can see a little book with a little Furby doing the splits, and in the background it just says "Yum" with a lot of M's.
It's so good.
I love that.
And so yeah, during the stream I had to just take that little image and turn it into that Sheila picture. So
it's so good.
I mean, that's all I have. Really, that's about myself. That's all. That's
it. That's your life story. We've hit the beginning, middle, and end.
It's blurst art.
Oh, it's so good though. I'm so pleased. Like this is all I wanted out of life.
Yeah, every Friday at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, you can find me at twitch.tv/Beekakke.
Fascinating. I love it. I am horrified and intrigued at every turn.
I think the word you were looking for is aroused.
I can be multiple things at once. I contain multitudes.
Aroused.
Did you just say scarouse?
She sure did. I don't like that one, but I'll accept it. But just this one time.
You have to accept it.
Hey, hold on.
Welcome to my life.
You're often scaroused, Noah? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm saying that you always say things.
No, I'm
you
pretty
know
sure,
damn well what I meant.
That's what I heard.
What I meant.
Isn't that what he said? I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
Yeah, whatever. Be that way. Be that way.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Fuck you. You know that's I hate everything so much. Why would you do this to me? Every single day I suffer at your hands, and this is just unacceptable.
Well, this is delightful.
He keeps showing up, and I don't know why. God, I feel like there's more to talk about. Like, I feel like there's more to dive into on this, and I don't have follow-up questions. I feel like I should. This is like it's like a job interview, and like either like, oh, do you have any questions for us at the end? And you're like, well, you covered everything, so I don't think so. You know, one of those situations.
Well,
No,
I could
just
go
those
in.
things
I
where as
could
soon
go
as
in
the
for
call
hours
ends-
on the Twitch TOS thing.
Ooh, are we
But-
Luna
angry at
mentioned
Twitch?
that you sat down and that was like the entire point of one stream was just knocking out like what you could and couldn't do for Twitch TOS, wasn't it?
I feel like it wasn't the whole stream, but I was talking about it for a very long time because if you don't know about the Twitch hot tub debacle, what happened
Meta,
is
actually.
well,
Call it
there
meta,
was a
bro.
meta, but also it was a very polarizing topic of these hot tub streamers are pulling viewers away from other streams. It's like you don't look if you.
You don't want
I
that.
went to a lot of hot tub streams. I was watching them because I wanted to see what the draw was, and like if you've got a big following as a sexy lady on Twitch, what it looked like in the one mod nightmare, like they better be paying their mods so much, or the mods are just super shrimps and that they're just happy to be there, right?
Little column
But
A, little
Mhm.
column B.
like I watched, or she wasn't actually on camera, she was off camera. I watched one of the biggest hot tub streamers have a breakdown live on Twitch
Yikes.
and talk about family issues, why like they don't want a hot tub stream, but they feel like they have to because it's the meta. And like while this really sad, tragic story was being talked about, and this gal is off stream, she was trying to put on her makeup, but if you've ever tried to put on your makeup and cry at the same time, it doesn't work. So she's just
Oh, all the
crying
time.
and
I've done that.
telling
I
a
do that
story while
regularly,
people are
actually.
just looking. Yeah, where people are looking at an empty hot tub that says BRB changing into cute bikini for like 45 minutes. The chat was split into 3 parts. There was the third that was actually fans of the streamer and going like, I'm really sorry to hear this. They were trying to sympathize with her and stuff and being like, wow, this really
Human
sucks.
beings. Normal human beings,
The
yes.
the other third of the chat was just like Craigasm. When are you gonna show up? Where's that bikini?
My God.
Show me that butt. All kinds of stuff that's like just basically treating her like a sex object, wanting her to come into streams so they could, I guess, do whatever they do and want to put in 70,000 Craigasm emotes. And I don't know. It makes no sense. And then the other third was just like, wah, wah, crying baby, crying about your crappy life. Sucks for you. Maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Wah. So there was like the I love them club, I hate them club, and the I just want to touch my peepus to a hot lady on Twitch club. Like, it was a nightmare. It was a train wreck. And I was like, you want these viewers in your stream? Because I don't.
That's the thing, right? Is and I think I did like there was a conversation about like it that kind of viewership infects other parts of the site, which I think there is a conversation there on that. But that's exactly it, right? It's like these are not people you want coming to hang out with you. Like,
no, I don't want my chat
good.
filled with like if my chat got some sort of influx of people going like, yeah, fucking draw that toucan Sam butt crack. What does he look like from the front? What's he packing? Yeah, this is doing it for me. I'd be like, could you not? Because I'm drawing this, and that makes this really awkward. Like, maybe just buy the print, give me money later, buy a print, put it on your wall, and you can just do whatever you want then. But I don't want to hear about that stuff in stream. Anyway, the hot tub thing was because in the Twitch TOS, there's basically very difficult to interpret, vague as they like their rules to be, circling back around on themselves, 2 sections that are very representative that makes it over into the creative space. The first part is the overall the sexually suggestive content that is their main rules, and that also covered the line that affects me as an artist on Twitch is the policy applies to embedded media, augmented reality, creative broadcasts, and channel content such as banners, profile image, emotes, and panels that are focused on provocative images or video. And then they give a list that is considered to be sexually suggestive, that includes but is not limited to blah blah blah. And you've gotta pay very close attention to all of those things in sexually suggestive content, because then in nudity and attire, which is what the hot tub streamer meta was going with, is the swim and beaches, concerts and festivals contextual exceptions. And I'm going to read this to you and you can hear where it loops back, and then a lot of stuff is going to make sense. Swimwear is permitted as long as it completely covers the genitals, and those who present as women must also cover their nipples. Full coverage of buttocks is not required, but camera focus around them is still subject to our sexually suggestive content policy. Coverage must be fully opaque even when wet. Sheer or partially see-through swimwear or other clothing does not constitute coverage. There it is. The only things that you need to cover if you're at swim, beaches, concert, or festivals is female presenting nipples and genitals. You can even have that butt out. That booty can be out, which is why, you know, those hot tub streamers, they're in their little thong swimsuits. But you got to cover the genitals and the nip nops. And that's brought up a lot of questions of the camera focus is subject to sexually suggestive content policy. So if you circle back to that where it says those apply to creative broadcasts, it's content or camera focus on breasts, buttocks, or the pelvic region, including poses that deliberately highlight these elements. So if you're drawing like, you know, a breakfast daddy that's like V for victory with his taint out or something, you know, like you can't with like POV, you know, that bulge is front and center. You can't do that, which is why all my breakfast daddies are just 3/4 body view from straight on. There's no specific area that it's like zooming in on. I mean, some areas stand out just because they're highly rendered.
Yeah, of course. You give special attention to some areas, as it were.
Yeah. But that is where it circles around to. So the only other thing that is interesting is if you look at the sexually suggestive content versus nudity and attire, there's always this weird, like, what is you can and can't draw on Twitch. And since streamers can't show underboob, there's this big thing of can you draw underboob? And I've done several streams where I'm like, what area of the breast do you consider the underboob? Like if the boob itself is a clock, like what are the times on this clock that are the underboob?
I'm sorry. I'm very much stuck on if this boob is a clock.
Yeah, like imagine.
No, I understand completely what you're saying. It's just you blew past that so quickly, and it gave me whiplash for a second. All right, we're good.
I drew it out on stream. I had this gal that I was basically trying to just cover as much as possible, or cover as little as possible within Twitch guidelines. And I had to be like, here's a circle, here's the tick marks between here and here. Where does the underboob begin and end? And I had to run a poll, and I averaged it out. So
that's
how
awful.
that worked. So,
I don't understand how Twitch. I mean, I do because of money. It's literally safer for them to be as vague as possible. But man, any amount of clarity would be so goddamn helpful.
Yeah, like even so, it's specifically when it refers to art, it's at the very, very end of everything. And it just says, I'm an artist and I want to paint a nude portrait not intended to be sexual. Is that prohibited? Under the FAQ. And it says, as we do not yet provide sufficient tools for viewers to limit their exposure to nudity and mature content. Really? I feel like they do, though. Artistic and educational nudity are not allowed. We are working on ways to make this possible in the future. And this was years ago. So,
but isn't that the point of the mature broadcast tag? It means that you can swear and get a little edgier.
You would think. What that is for is, one, you can't draw dildos. You can't show them on screen. If they're part of a game, it can't be like the main focus of the game. So like when Cyberpunk... I think as long as it doesn't have a lot of like the bad stuff in there, I'm not sure. If it's user-generated sexual in-game content... focusing your broadcast around that, is bad. They say you can't do that. And there's also a lot of games that you can't do that are very sexual in nature.
Do they have specific lists of games?
They do have a specific list.
I'm very fascinated.
Yeah, it's things like if you've heard of genital jousting or any of like the honeypot type stuff. Yeah, which are hilarious, but you can't play those.
Genital jousting is the shit.
So Twitch, I think, is, for what I remember, 13 plus. and you can check to watch this mature content. And a lot of people will put 18 plus stream in their title.
Yeah.
There's literally no way to age gate your stream at all.
Nope.
Anybody can just say, yeah, and as long as it's 18 plus, as long as you don't say in chat, haha, pee-pee booby diapers, I'm 13, look, you're drawing cleavage, yeah, boobies, then, nobody's gonna know. And I've seen several art streams where somebody did, say their age and they got banned or booted and, sorry, call me when you're 18, you can show up to the stream. But I don't have an 18 plus stream. I just try to keep everything like mature content. Like if you check my stream to be a mature content viewer, I'm expecting you to be mature. Whether you are immature in an immature way that my streams normally go. But it's if you are acting like you don't belong here, then you're not going to belong here. Although I haven't actually had to kick anybody out. It's been very strange. Nice. The only thing that it mentions for mature content is if you talk about mature topics. It just says conversations about sex, nudity, and other mature topics that are intended to be educational and otherwise comply with our policies should be marked as mature content via the respective channel settings. So you can talk about, dicks all day as long as you're not explicitly like describing sex acts and reading somebody's bad like fanfic or something.
Actually, I've found you can actually get away with some bad fanfic on that front.
You can, but it does say that
it skirts the line. It's a dangerous game.
Like you can't post, display, or share erotica, including detailed descriptions of sex acts or pornography. So, as long as you're not like detailed. So that's the thing is it's like detailed descriptions. Like what would be detailed? Garfield took her in a masculine way or whatever that weird or it would be like how many throbbing veins does his sword have to go in the sheath of the milady, like you know what I mean, like what is there, what is
such
Twitch's
sense.
I know.
It was so awful.
It's so real though.
I'm just going off of stuff that I have had to blurse my way through.
I will say it's also really interesting, like just because I'm looking at this prohibited games list. Like I've been on the internet a very fucking long time. I know of most of these games, right? And they range from things like some of the games that are just porn. Like there are so many games on here that are just porn.
Yep.
But there are also things like Honey Pop isn't technically porn. I wouldn't call it. Fucking Genital Jousting is literally not at all. And then Second Life of all things. Second Life is an MMO. Technically, it just happens to have a lot of adult content, and it fascinates me that they're just like, no, full stop. You can't have any Second Life content. Get that out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that though, because I feel like that's one of those things where people would constantly make the argument of, oh, I didn't put it there. I didn't mean that to happen. It was just someone else did it.
But you can have that in those just any game. That's the thing.
Easier.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, but it's not like.
A lot of places, sure like in Second Life,
they also don't want you to do like modded, like sex mods in your Skyrim, and if you showed that, you would get in trouble too. But Second Life is, I feel, harder to mediate just because it's such a vast thing.
That's fair.
Yeah, the Second Life is kind of like it goes back to their contextual exceptions for IRL streaming, where if you're in the real world, streaming outside has to follow the standard body coverage. Blah, blah, blah. Those passing through the background of your streams are not held to the same dress code, but broadcasting nudity is not permitted. If accidental nudity appears on your stream, we expect you to take immediate action, remove the content, and take precautionary steps so it won't happen again. So
wild.
They're basically like, if somebody was playing Second Life and then someone accidentally had into some sex dungeon and like, oh no, there's somebody with like 12 dicks and they're on a stripping pole or something, and
Second Life, you're
supposed to like you have to like cut the stream, delete the VOD, and then you're supposed to just like then you move about with your day. But that would be so frequent in Second Life that they just like just end it, just ban it.
Well, and I'm wondering, like, it's. I guess here to kind of like pull the conversation just a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Do you think a lot of this conversation has a lot to do with kind of the similar thing that's going on with like OnlyFans right now?
Oh
and
yeah.
their whole debacle. Like, I'm wondering how much of this is Twitch being we're a bunch of fucking prudes, and how much of this is Twitch being if we don't crack down on this, MasterCard won't let you spend money on us. Like,
that's exactly what it is, because what happened with the hot tub meta is the hot tub meta used to stream in just chatting, where people would sit around and just chat, and if you just happen to be contextually dressed appropriately to be in a hot tub, whether that hot tub be a kiddie pool in your living room.
Fucking love the kiddie pools. That was my favorite thing in the world.
That was so funny. I loved it.
Like, a hot tub is one thing, but the fact that people were just like, nah, it's a kiddie pool. Don't worry about it. It's a hot tub. It's fine.
I watched this guy on his stream.
Good.
He was trying to make it big in the most ratchet setup of it was just in an empty kiddie pool, riding one of those bananas, but it was just sitting on it, and it was not the same banana. And then he popped it on stream and had a meltdown, like, of my career as a hot tub streamer. And there was
so good.
It was so good content. Like, he was not hot, like there was not beach body there, but there was still just like the belly hair was out, the trunks
there's a bit of parody
on.
going on.
Oh, it was amazing. But
what a gift.
Fantastic.
What happened is, I think one of the main streamers, what's her name, Amaranth, I think,
that sounds right,
had her advertising revenue shadow banned. So
oh my God.
They didn't tell, like, one, it would be like, hey, your streaming stuff is a little too risque and our advertisers don't want to be on your channel, so we've removed your revenue thing. Nobody told her nothing. She just happened to check her stuff and she had 0 stuff from ads. Well, when you've got, 16,000 viewers seeing ads, you might make more than, 10 cents a month in ad revenue.
Mood.
And she was like, where's my ad money? And that started a whole thing of, now Twitch has a hot tub, pools, and beaches section that I'm guessing advertisers can advertise by section. So you get a lot of like beer ads and party ads and stuff where, if it's your standard advertiser, you don't want to be included on those types of streams. Now they have a place. They can just say, we only want to be shown on these sections of Twitch. So they had to create a new section so advertisers would
Which
go
they should have done in the first
was,
place.
Well, like they didn't, that wasn't a thing that existed.
Sure.
Like that.
You don't have breakups for IRL or just chatting.
Yeah. Like back in the day, there was no art Twitch. There was like a creative IRL thing where everything was just smushed into one thing, and now it's broken up. But when they introduced that nudity and entire contextual exceptions, they're gonna find those loopholes and try to make as much money as possible. And Twitch is making, like, I watched somebody and it was like, they were gifting subs, I guess, to be written on like an arm or something, and they gifted. I don't remember how many. It was thousands of subs. And if you think about those Bezos bucks at like $4.99 a pop, they had spent like thousands of dollars on this streamer in gift subs. And I'm just like, holy crap. Twitch doesn't want to lose that kind of money.
No, of course not.
So they're going to just try to make it work. And so while they're trying to make it work, I'm going to abuse and use their same policies to make art that, I don't want to cross the line. I just want to get kind of close to it.
You want to kind of look at the line and be like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I want to be like, hey, how's it going? But if anybody has issues with this, I want to know, like, my fear is that someone's going to come in and see a Breakfast Daddy, and because it's a buff leather daddy on stream, they're going to ignore all the hot leather mommy anime big titty waifus that are getting drawn on the same, like on the same page, basically, if you're scrolling, and go, I don't like what I see here because it's not what I'm into, so I'm going to report the stream. Ew, is that a dumpy Furby? And then I get reported, and then I have to be like, please tell me exactly what about this is violating TOS, because it's art, and art is subjective. So I'm just waiting for, like, what's
You're waiting
going
to have
be
that conversation.
The thing. Yeah, I'm waiting to have a conversation, but I'm trying to like get that, where I just in chat constantly, if I'm doing something that's towing the line, I'm like, hey, if anybody thinks that this is even getting close to a TOS thing, tell me now. Like, if you even think like, oh, this is streamers being risky on Twitch, oh, you're drawing underboob. I'm like, where does it say here that if someone's at a festival, they can't show underboob? Because all it says is female present, which is its own.
That's its own thing, by the way.
That's its whole own conversation.
We're not going to touch that.
Nope.
That bothers me so much. That makes me so mad. All right.
Yeah. But anyway,
no, I get it.
it's rough, dude. It's rough being an art streamer with Twitch's stuff. It's rough.
I am horrified. Like it is such a nightmare. I hats off and all that. Like damn, because I don't know, because it's one of those things where it also comes into a conversation of like, if that was your thing, like if you were doing it intentionally, like I feel like when you do it, right, from talking to you, it's like 70% a bit that you're doing and like 30%, yeah, I'm doing it because I believe that it is art and it is something that's really important to me. Like at least from what I'm reading out of this, and maybe I have that completely wrong, and please call me on it. But like it feels like a lot, like some of it is I'm doing this because I think it's very fun and very funny, and some of it is I'm doing it because I want to be better at this specific piece of art or the specific type of artwork.
Yeah.
But if that wasn't your goal,
it started as anatomy study, but if you've seen my recent daddies, I feel like the male anatomy no longer confuses me, and I've got a very firm grip on that whole thing. So it's less of a
never mind, a nice firm hard grip, if you would.
Yeah, some would say it's two hands. Gotta have two hands.
Gotta make sure you have a nice firm hold.
Yeah.
On the work that you're doing. You're working
exactly.
it, if you will.
Yeah, I'm very skilled at each and every stroke that I put on the canvas. So now it's just I use that to, one, scare people or scarouse people on Twitch with what I'm drawing, and the second is talking about these types of issues, which is like the TOS, and you also see it also brings up the conversation, which is a whole other thing I didn't mention, of look at the cereal aisle and try to find any female presenting mascots.
Which is I was honestly thinking about it. Like while you were talking, I'm like, I don't know of a single one off the top of my head.
I had this thing going into this of, before I did the research, I was alerted to it of, why are there no females as breakfast mascots? I mean, you've got your, like, the old school Aunt Jemima, which I think has changed or whatever now.
Thank God.
And then you've got a lot the other cereals that are like the Barbie cereals, but that doesn't count because that didn't start as a cereal. No, it's not a cereal
mascot. Yeah.
And so what happens is I was like, okay, we either have one, they don't want females on the box because they're worried that they'll get overly sexualized like any other mascot, but then I'm like, hello, hi, I'm here to ruin your day.
I'm doing it anyway.
What actually happened is some study in insert like the 50s or some, archaic time ago, where
in the before times
is they did this study and children were a lot more, I guess they would listen to the males more. So if daddy came home and was like, we don't want you to do this, then, you wouldn't listen to your mom. But if, you got the dad voice, then, oh no, you listen to the, the male figure in your family. So since children listened to male figures more, the cereal mascots on the television would be male. So when they told the kids, go buy this cereal, they would listen to it more than some woman telling you to go get cereal. Ew. You want that daddy voice, which is then went into the whole, like, why I'm turning them all into leather daddies instead of like gender bending them into things that would probably get me more views on Twitch. But you know what? Daddies aren't represented on Twitch. You don't see a lot of buff dudes getting drawn. It's all sexy anime, big titty waifus or whatever.
I will say, I feel like daddies aren't generally are given a lot of artwork outside of like specifically the furry community anyway, like in any context.
Exactly.
Like it's mostly furries that draw a bunch of like buff men.
It is mostly like the furry community, and I'm not a furry myself, but I would consider myself a furry artist at this point just because of the Breakfast Daddies.
Mm-hmm.
And I have nothing against it or anything, but it's just weird because even the furry artists on Twitch, the furry art community is its own like isolated community of there's just an entirely different vibe. Really, some of it's really chill depending on like the stream. Some of it's super energetic, but it's like a community that doesn't branch over. And there's what I found is about 3 different art communities. There's the furry community, there's the anime, big titty anime waifu community, and then the generalized sort of fantasy art rendered community. And the interesting thing is my shit seems to branch across all three. On Fridays, I end up doing a lot of furry art, so people will show up. I do a lot of sexy ladies for commissions of, of their game, of people's game characters or something. And then people will show up for the sexy ladies. I'll do, an orc or something of someone's character, and, the fantasy people will show up. So I'm at this weird stage where I can sort of, depending on the day, hop between all these different art communities that are in my chat. And it's very interesting. So if nobody's hung out on like the Twitch art chat land, go find some streams and you'll learn some stuff.
May not be stuff you want to know, but you will learn something.
Oh yeah, you might not want to learn about it, but you're gonna learn something.
You're gonna learn today. Yeah, I mean,
if it works, right?
Yeah, well, I was actually gonna. I mean, we're really running up against the time here. In fact, I'm surprised Noah hasn't cut us off. Like, do you feel that diversification is helping you, or do you think it's kind of like, well, people aren't sure what they're going to get when they come in on an average day, or are you kind of okay with it? It doesn't matter either way.
I'm kind of in the it doesn't matter for me, but also I feel like it does help because, especially for art streams, a lot of people don't show up for the art. They'll show up because they think like the thumbnail looks cool, but they stay for the personality.
Yeah, of course.
And
like
art streaming, just like any stream, I'm like 30% focusing on my art and 70% trying to be entertaining, because that's what people are going to show up for, as an entertaining streamer. If I'm just sitting there quiet talking about like Bob Rossing my way through something, that's super boring for a lot of people, and they can just go watch the Bob Ross stream. So I try to mix it up, and because people will stay for a certain type of personality, I get a little bit of everybody. And I'm in this weird, now I don't know if immediately after this conversation, if something's going to happen like next week, but I've been streaming, I've been affiliate. My streamiversary, my 1 year of affiliate is like October 8th, I think.
Oh, nice.
Which will be 1 year of streaming.
Congratulations.
I have not had to ban one single person.
Wild.
I'm jealous.
It's insane.
Yeah, I get bots a lot these days.
Okay, but bots, I feel like bots are separate.
People.
Like if it is just banning a bot, that's not like a person.
That's fair. Okay, I'll give you that.
Just,
yeah, that doesn't count.
Yeah, if someone just has like a really gross name and they don't say anything in chat, I've not had anyone start trolling chat and then it's just like, you're making everyone uncomfortable here, I'm gonna have to ban you. My mods have such mod blue balls of, they've had these cannons to fire for almost a year and they haven't been able to fire them. And I just find it so strange, because you can go into other art streams and people getting banned left and right. Why not me? Is it because they detect I'm a bigger troll than them? Because it happens. I mean, like, this streamer looks like she wants to play with her food, so maybe we shouldn't.
Oh, it's very good. It's very good. It's a fascinating side of Twitch that I don't interact with very much, because I mean, I know Noah, you interact with it quite a bit through Nina, but I really don't. I don't ride art streams very often at all, and so I'm always fascinated by like, what's it look like on the other side of this. It
looks very diverse.
You know what?
Like the way you said that made it sound like the big like sunshiny statement at the end of like some dramatic moment in a movie and the credits are about to roll. It looks very diverse, and then you pan off the hillside, the sun starts to rise, everything's like honky-dory.
See, I was thinking the opposite end. I was thinking like the vague threat, like the vague like, the future is bright and the future looks very diverse, and then it's like it's something horrible somehow. Like, I don't know. I was thinking the very opposite side of that.
It just slowly zooms into it just slowly zooms into the face of whoever just made that statement.
Exactly.
As their smile turns from genuine into something very malicious, very and it just cuts to black. It just cuts to black.
Exactly. It's like a corporate exec saying something about having to diversify, and like that's it. Boom, cut to black. Thank you. See, fuck you, Noah. Fuck you, chicken strips.
I don't even know what that means.
Where the sun rises over this pristine landscape, but what you can't really tell is it's kind of like a Where's Waldo situation, where if you look really close, it's like that one artist that draws those crazy hellscapes of just like people and getting eaten and all kinds of terrible things happening. But from far away, it's fine.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the world right now.
Well, I don't know. From far away, it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, at this point, from far away, it's still pretty bad. Yeah.
All right, we are well past an hour. Noah,
I'm so sorry for rambling. My caffeine kicked
no.
in.
Are you kidding me?
No,
Are you
you're
kidding
good.
me?
This is
This is why we
fantastic.
brought you here. How dare you? How dare you come here and do the thing that we wanted you to do? Thank you.
How dare I give you content?
So much. Genuinely, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, it's super freaking great.
This was
Also,
awesome.
Whoever was going to be here, I want to like send my condolences, and I'm actually very curious about what happened with the wasp in the walls. I want to know.
The Wasp in the Walls is my favorite children's book.
So
yeah, that's
my favorite. That's my favorite book in the the Indian in the Cupboard series.
Oh man, or like the what is it?
The walls?
Yeah.
The night. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. The
no,
book
you're talking about.
fuck. The black and white. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh god.
Scary stories to tell in
To
the
tell
dark.
in the dark. That might be it. Yep.
That's it. Okay, yeah, that's the Wasp in the Walls is definitely one of those.
My favorite, personally. Well, thank you so much. So, let's get. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to do the?
I was gonna say, want to be expert in art and Twitch TOS. Is there anything you would like to plug on the way out?
Yeah,
absolutely. Plug your stream again.
Your Twitch stream, hypothetically.
Just if you happen to have at somewhere that they could watch you or like give you money, I guess. If that was something you were into, you wouldn't have anything like that, right?
No, I mean, like, you know, I guess my like commissions are open. So if you actually wanted my art, you could, you know, I could take your money and I'll draw you like whatever. But yeah, you can find me at Beekakke. That's Beekakke. That's just what it sounds like on Instagram and Twitch. Also, I think my Twitter is something else, but I really want to use Twitter, but I don't know how. I'm gonna be honest, I'm old. Yeah, so
yeah, you're Beekakke art on Twitch or on Twitter. I mean,
I am Beekakke art, all one word, on Twitter, and I stream every Tuesday through Friday on Twitch, starting at 1:30 Central. So I go until pretty late too, and do not those days Picardo streams. If you know what I'm talking about, I'm also Beekakke on Picardo, but that's a whole different thing.
Nice save.
Mm-hmm.
Noah, do we have any podcast business before we get out of here?
I meant to DM people at the beginning of the episode to see if anyone would get back with.
We've been doing this podcast for like 3 years, and you still don't do this. No,
man, you do it then. Fucking hell.
I'll do it.
And I
try, but I'm not always confident as I look.
I was gonna make something up that Hi sent in. I had like some weird thing, but I thought of it like late last night, and I'm like, that would be so funny. And then I didn't write it down, so it's long gone.
Oh no!
But you know, other than that, the usual info. I found us a new podcast to beef with. It's their Cum Town.
Oh my!
Yeah, official podcast of the Cum Boys. I gotta be honest, I hate it so much. So here's how it works. You go to Apple Podcasts and you rate us 5 stars so that we can get above a 4.7 rating, which is where Cum Town is also currently sitting.
Are you kidding me?
However, it is worth noting we did beat out Joe Rogan's average rating, which means we are better than Joe Rogan.
That is true.
So
100% accurate.
That is a fact. Better people, that's for sure.
I don't even think we need to get into too many technicalities. I think he has his beat on like production. But yeah, so do that. Links in the show notes. I'm gonna get B's links in there as well, so that everyone can check her out next time she's streaming and such. So yeah, thank you very much for coming out this week, everybody, and we'll see you next Thursday. Well, I guess we won't see anyone, but you know what I mean.
I don't have eyes.
Earballs. See them with your earballs.